I preached this 2 weeks ago, and I said, we walk in saying, okay, Pastor, okay, church, okay, Lord, what do you have for me today? But I want to remind everybody that the Spirit of God stands at the door, and when we walk in, He says, okay, what do you have for me today? And verse 4, where we are in Exodus chapter 34, we see that Moses brought tablets up with him. As the Lord said, prepare yourself and bring 2 tablets with you. And so I ask you, what visible, tangible sacrifice are you bringing before God today? Verse 21, 6 days you shall labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even during the plowing season and harvest, you must rest. And so I suggest to you today that, follow me, Miha. I suggest to you today that our church attendance is one of our visible acts of loyalty. Our church attendance. Okay? I want you to understand what's going on. In the Old Testament, the 7th day, there wasn't labor laws like there are today. So everybody worked 7 days a week. All the other nations. Okay? Except for the people of Israel. On the 6th day, on the 7th day, they would rest. Okay? They wouldn't work. They wouldn't do anything. They would rest. Even during the plowing season. So all the other nations are out there plowing and getting the best land and doing things. But the people of Israel are resting. Okay? And even in the year of the Sabbath year, they wouldn't work on the 7th year. They wouldn't work at all. And God said, if you do this on the 6th year, I will give you a double blessing so that the next year you won't have to work. And on the 49th, the 50th year, okay, it was 49th year and 50th year, they wouldn't harvest, they wouldn't do anything, because they trusted that the 48th year, God was going to give them so much that for 2 years, they wouldn't have to do anything. Okay? Now understand this. The way they showed their loyalty to God is they rested. The way we show our loyalty to God today, the people of God come to church on Sunday. That's the way we show our loyalty. So while all the other nations, let me preach to you here. While all the other nations are taking the overtime, while all the other nations are getting an extra job to pay off credit cards that we shouldn't have gotten in the first place, the people of God, come what may. Even though it's plowing season, and logically we should be doing this, this, or that to get ahead, we choose to be loyal to God. We choose to glorify God. We choose to come here and encourage each other. We choose every Sunday morning to get out of the car and the whole family walks up a little bit more dressed up than during the week, and everybody has their Bibles in the car, and the neighbors are, what's going on? We're going to church. And after a while, everybody sees, wow, they're church-going people, and we glorify God. We build each other up. We're a witness to the world, and while it would be easy to get ahead, well, it would be easy, let me preach to you here. I have daughters in sports, and my daughters are some good athletes, but my daughters knew church comes first. Okay? Church comes first. And there are certain things that we need to do as families, okay? And sometimes you have to take a Sunday off, but you know what I've learned? You can make up the service. There's a Sunday night service. There's a Thursday night service. There's a Wednesday night service for youth. I've seen adults go into the Wednesday night service for youth. Nobody tells them anything, because if that's your only time to go to church, that's your only time. And once the Spirit of God, number one, and number two, you people fill this, then you're going to have another option for either a Saturday night or a Sunday night. And if you can't make it on Sunday, that's okay. You'll make it Sunday night, you'll make it Saturday night. But you know what? One of our visible acts of loyalty, and listen to this, it's It's an act of loyalty. It's an act of obedience. And it's an act of faith and confidence. That you know what? I'm going to tell my boss. You know what? I'm going to tell the coach. You know what? I'm going to do I'm going to tell my body that doesn't feel like getting up. I'm going to church. Because I'm a Christian. And that's one. And I know I'm saved by grace. But what did Paul say? We're saved by grace so that we can do the good works that God created us for. Is anybody with me this morning? Visible acts of loyalty, exclusivity, Holy Communion, tithes, church attendance. While all the other nations work during the harvest, we come to church. And God blesses us for that. No matter the season, we come to church. Turn around and tell someone, we come to church. Verse 22 and verse 23. Celebrate the Feast of Weeks with the first fruits of the wheat harvest and the Feast of Ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times a year, your men are to appear before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel. 3 times a year, your men are to appear before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel. I want you to understand what's going on right here. There is 3 times a year, different groups get together. The men get together. The women get together. The children get together. The youth get together. The elders get together. When they get together, they worship together. They hear the law read to them. They eat together. They fellowship together. They dance together. They sing together. They pray for each other together. They have fellowship together. They do all these things together. Okay? That was one of their visible acts of loyalty. So that while all the other nations are watching them, they're saying, what are they doing? All their men are in a circle, and they're praying for each other. And they're dancing. And they're eating together. And they're slapping each other on the back. Look, all their women are together, and they're dancing in circles with tambourines. See, this was different for all the other nations. Let me tell you something. We live in an American society where individualism is very prevalent and prominent. Okay? But the people of God are not individuals. We're the body of Christ. Amen. We're in the army of the Lord. Okay? Anybody with me? Okay? And so one of the other visible acts of loyalty is church involvement. Church involvement. Okay? Now, church involvement. Okay? This is how we display our act of loyalty. I appreciate you coming to church. I appreciate you coming here on a Sunday morning. But you know what? If the men are getting together, one of the ways you show the Lord your loyalty is you come with the other men. Amen. And let me tell you something, brother. You need it. You need it. Let me tell you something. When we isolate, we medicate. Okay? See, God has a way of touching and encouraging you, brothers, by being with other brothers. When you're hurting, when you're lonely, whatever it is. But when we isolate, we will medicate ourselves, and it's not healthy, and there's no good results that come out of that. Sisters, you need to get together with other sisters. Children need to be with the children. Babies need to be with the babies. Okay? Youth need to be with the youth. Okay, is anybody with me?